So we are on Daf Mem Aleph Amud Bet. We're going to try to do Daf Mem Bet Amud Aleph today. We're holding in the middle of the Daf. So we are in the middle of discussing the halacha of the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that somebody who is a Yevamot, she has to wait 3 months before she could do Yibum or Chalitza. And then we discuss a woman who, any scenario, even if it's not Yibum, if her husband died or divorced her, whether she was a Beula, she has to wait 3 months, and the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Yossi about that. So in terms of a woman cannot get Chalitza during the first 3 months, the Gemara ended up saying the reason is, Rabbi Yossi says the reason is because since she cannot have Yibum, she cannot have Chalitza done. Meaning technically there should be no problem for her to have Chalitza during the first 3 months.
Because she's not they're only going to have BO.
Right, so technically, but since she cannot have Yibum, she cannot have Chalitza. Right, that's what the Gemara said.
What are they missing in their life? Is it a big damage on their...
it makes them Pasul Kehuna.
That's all.
Okay, Mativ Rav Chinena. Whereby where it says Mativ Rav Chinena, the first word on the line is Ha'olah. Ha'oleh le'ibum, Ha'oleh Chalitza, and then it says Mativ Rav Chinena. Hasfekot cholutzot v'lo mityavamot. So the Braita teaches ladies who are safek, they do Chalitza, not Yibum. Now we're going to explain what that means in a moment. My sfekot, what does it mean sfekot? Ilema safek kiddushin. If you're telling me sfekot means safek, whether they received the kiddushin or not. Meaning, one brother did kiddushin, he's a safek kiddushin to a lady. He's not sure whether the kiddushin was a kosher kiddushin or not. Right. So if that's the case that we're talking about, that if he dies, the brother does chalitza, so amai lo mityabemet. Why you have to do chalitza? You could do yibum too. Tityaven ve'en bekach klum. Let him do yibum. If it was a good kiddushin, so then the brother is doing yibum. If it's not a good kiddushin, so then the brother is marrying this lady. What's the big deal? There's nothing wrong with doing yibum in that case. So when it says the safek does chalitza, it can't be talking about that case. That case you could do yibum also. So elalav safek shekidesh achat mishtei achayot. The case of safek must be that he did kiddushin to one of 2 sisters. He doesn't know which one. It was either Rachel or Leah. The father, he gave kiddushin to the father, and the father was mikadesh one of his daughters, and they don't know which one is mikudeshet. So now, if he dies, what's with the brother's yibum? If he does yibum to Rachel, well, maybe Leah was really the one that got the kiddushin, and Rachel is achot zekukato. And if he does yibum to the other one, maybe it was the other way around. So that's the case where he has to do chalitza to both. So, right, the case is safek shekidesh achad mishtei achayot ve'eno yodei eze ben kidesh v'ktani choletzet. It says in that case that the brother has to do chalitza. So you see that even that we said before that if you cannot do yibum, you cannot do chalitza. That's why a lady within 3 months after her husband dies, she cannot do yibum. So also she cannot do chalitza. Over here, you can do chalitza even though you cannot do yibum. In a case where he was a mikadesh one of 2 sisters, he doesn't know which one it is, and then he died, so he cannot do yibum, but he does chalitza. So the Gemara says that's not a good question. Achi ashta hatam im yavo Eliyahu v'yomar deha kidesh bat chalitza v'yibum hi. Over there, in the case where the guy was mekadesh one of 2 ladies, and he doesn't know which one. So if it's just something, it's a safek that we don't know what the reality is. So that's why we're machmir and we say no chalitza, right? But if Eliyahu Hanavi were to come and to tell us, no, this is the one that he was mekadesh, if we were to be able to clarify our safek and know which lady he was mekadesh, so bat chalitza v'yibum, she would be a bat chalitza v'yibum, right? You would be able to do yibum as well. But hacha, boker tov, hacha im yavo Eliyahu v'yomar deha lo yabra. But in this case, in our case, where a lady her husband died within 3 months, and now she's getting chalitza, if Eliyahu Hanavi were to come and say, oh no, she's not pregnant, you can do chalitza to her, it doesn't matter. We wouldn't listen to him. Why? Because the halacha has nothing to do with her actually being pregnant. It's a gezerah that Chachamim made, even if we know she's not pregnant. So even if Eliyahu Hanavi comes and says, oh, she's not pregnant, even if we know she's not pregnant, it doesn't matter. You have to wait 3 months. How do we know that? Haktana lav bat iaburehi. Ktana cannot become pregnant. Still, she has to wait 3 months. Okay. Tana Rabbanan. Says the Braita. So, Daf Mem Aleph Amud Bet, towards the bottom, Tana Rabbanan. Yevamot So Yevamot, for the first 3 months after her husband dies, she still gets mizonot. She still gets from her husband's assets. She uses her husband's assets to buy food. For the first 3 months, she gets, yeah.
Because it's suffix.
Because not necessarily because of it. Because she cannot get yibum or chalitza. So she can't get chalitza and go marry somebody else. And she can't get yibum and marry the brother, so she doesn't have anybody. It's not possible for her to have anybody else to take care of her for the first 3 months. So Chachamim instituted that it comes from the husband's assets that died.
I think they should get, because maybe she's pregnant, she carried the baby.
Okay.
She has to get mazon from the husband.
Okay. But even if she a baby would be yoresh, but there's a whole question about a fetus being yoresh. Where I think actually maybe we might get to that, but okay. Mikan ve'elach, after 3 months, ena nizonet lo mishel baal velo mishel yavam. After 3 months, she doesn't get from the husband or from the yavam. Meaning, and if we're talking about the yavam didn't do yibum yet, right? So Amad Bedinu Barach. Let's say she took the Yavam to Beit Din, she took the brother-in-law to Beit Din, she said, listen, you gotta either do Yibum or do Chalitza, let me marry somebody else, I need somebody to support me. So if she took him to Beit Din, Ubarach, and he ran away. Now Tosfot explains, we're not talking about he ran away because he wanted to, leave her stuck without Yibum or Chalitza. He ran away for some other reason, they were chasing him, trying to collect money, whatever it is, and he had to run out of town. So they took him to Beit Din, but he had to leave town before he could do Yibum or Chalitza. So Nizonim Mishal Yavam. Then she has the right to collect from his assets to support herself for Mizonot. Nafla Lefnei Yavam Katan. What's the case what happens if she fell in front of a Yavam who's a Katan? She fell to Yibum to a Katan, to somebody who is under Bar Mitzvah. So Leitla Mibal. Miyavam leitla, she doesn't get anything from the Yavam because he's only a Katan. Mibal, what's the question? What with regards to the Baal? Does he continue to give the dead husband? Does she continue to collect from his assets to support herself after the 3 months, or no? So Pligi bar Rav Acha v'Ravina. Rav Acha and Ravina have a machloket about this. Chad amar eitla v'chad amar leitla. One says she gets from the mizonot of the husband. One says no. V'ilchata leitla. Halacha is Leitla, she doesn't get. Why not? Mishamaya kansua. In Shamayim, that's just the way it worked out, that there's some type of knas from Shamayim that, she was put in this situation that she fell to a Yavam who's a Katan who can't support her and she has to wait for him
to be able to...
Not blame, meaning we're saying this is the workings of Shamayim. This is, there's... We as Beit Din don't have the right to force the husband, because the husband said the dead husband's assets, meaning he says, listen, his assets go to the Yorshim, and obviously not children Yorshim, he doesn't have children, but the brothers or the father, whoever is going to be Yoresh, the husband that died, but she has the right to collect for 3 months. After 3 months, the Yorshim could say, listen, if they want to give him matana, they can give him matana, but they have the right to say, listen, this is the 3 months worth of support came from him, and now it's time to collect our Yerusha, and there's nothing that Beit Din could do to stop that. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan. Yevamah shechaltzu lah achim. You have a Yevamah that the brothers did chalitza to her. Betoch shlosha. Tzricha lahamtin shlosha chodashim. If they did chalitza within 3 months, so she has to wait a full 3 months to be able to get married. Tzricha lahamtin shlosha chodashim. La'achar shlosha. If they did chalitza after 3 months, so ein tzricha lahamtin gimel chodashim. She doesn't need to wait the 3 months. These 3 months, it comes out, the 3 months that she has to wait is after her husband dies. Meaning, she doesn't have to wait, if one of the brothers does chalitza to her, she doesn't have to wait 3 months from the chalitza. She waits 3 months from when her husband dies. So, velo mishad chalitza de yavam. She doesn't have to wait 3 months from when the yavam does chalitza. So, maishna mi get. The Gemara says, why is this different than get? By get, we have a machloket. The Rav Amar Mishat Nitina, Shmuel Amar Mishat Ketiva. I think we're gonna get to this later. Actually, no, I don't know if we're gonna get to this. There's a machloket by get. When someone gives a get, so when someone divorces a lady, she can't get married for 3 months. Question is, 3 months from when? From when he wrote the get, or from when he gave the get? Let's say he wrote the get and he separated from her, and they just didn't get around to giving it until a few weeks later. So when do you count the 3 months from? So for a get, it's a machloket. Rav says, mishat netina, from when you give it. Shmuel says, from when you write it. And I believe that's the halacha, from when you write it. But according to Rav, that you have to wait till you give the get. So by chalitza, it should be that you have to wait until you do the chalitza. Giving the get is the same as doing the chalitza. So it should be 3 months, not from when the husband dies, but from when the chalitza is done. So the Gemara says, Amar Rava kal v'chomer. Isur karet hetarta. Isur lav lo kol sheken. Rava says no. Kal v'chomer. If we say 3 months after the husband dies, she could do yibum. So 3 months after the husband dies, we allow what would have been an isur karet. We allow the brother to marry her. So of course you allow her to marry out if she got chalitza from when the husband died. In a case of yibum or chalitza, since we're being matir in isur karet, after 3 months of Yibum, so for sure we're matir the Yevamot to go out after 3 months, and she doesn't need to wait 3 months from the chalitza, but 3 months from the death of the husband is enough. Okay, next part of the Gemara. V'chen shar kol hanashim. So Membet Amud Aleph. So it says the same thing is true by all other ladies if they have to wait 3 months to get married.
Just for the ladies or for the men?
The ladies. So we're gonna see what's the reason. Right, a man could divorce and get married, or his wife dies, he could get married right away. You can marry 2 ladies at the same time. Doesn't make a difference. The question is for the ladies. So, Bishlama Yevama K'damran. So, we explained before why Yevama needs to wait 3 months. Because we want to make sure she's not pregnant. So, Ella Shar Kol Anashim Amai. Why by other ladies who don't have Yibum, if their husband dies, why do they have to wait 3 months to get married? So Amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel Mishum Da Amar Kra Liyod Lecha Leelohim Uzaracha Acharecha. The pasuk says that Hashem is going to be for you Elokim and Zaracha Acharecha, and for your Zera after you. So what do you see? La'avchin ben Zaro Shel Rishon leZaro Shel Sheni. That person should know which Zera he comes from. So you need to wait 3 months to, even though there's no erva that could possibly happen or anything, but you need to wait 3 months to separate from the zera of the first husband and the zera of the second husband. Meaning, we have to know who the father is. If she has a child, we want to know who the father is, so you have to wait 3 months. So, Mativ Rava said yes on this. He says, Lefikach ger v'gioret tzrichin lahamtin gimel chodashim. Hachamaya lavchinika. According to this, when a ger, the Braita says that when 2 people are converting, so they need to wait 3 months. Right? This is actually la halacha as well. When 2 people are converting, they need to separate for 3 months. So this is what's yeah. So this is what's the lahavchin over here? It's the same. You know who the father is. They're converting. You know they were together before. They're the same father. So the Gemara says no. You still have to wait 3 months. Why? There's a difference between a zera that was when she was Jewish, when the zera was nizra b'kedusha, or when not. Therefore, you have to separate 3 months. So if she does have a baby, we know, is this baby was Nizra before or after?
But she will get all his body is even everything inside the stomach.
Okay, but the zera,
Even zera.
there's no. So there's something we're gonna get to it later on. There's a concept of horata shelo b'kedusha, leidata b'kedusha, which we're gonna talk about. What's the status of that baby? That's later on in the Masechet. But over here, we're saying there is a difference between a child that was planted before she was Jewish and a child that was planted after she was Jewish. There is a difference in the kedusha of the child. Okay, let's go further. Rava Amar Gzera Shema. Rava says no. The reason is not to know who the father is. The reason is different. Gzera Shema Yisa et achoto me'aviv. The Gzera, there's a bunch of different possibilities that could happen. Number one, he might marry his sister from his father's side. Meaning, if we don't know who the father is, it's not just, we have to know who the father is. Somebody might think that somebody might be born and be raised, and he thinks that his father is this person, and really his father is, the first guy, right, who divorced his mother, and meanwhile, he's going to marry someone who is really his sister, but he thinks that it's not his sister. He thinks, this guy divorced my mother and he got remarried and had other kids. Meaning that guy's really his father. Or it might come to do yibum of esh dachiv meimo. He might think that this is his brother who he shares a father with, but really it's only his brother from his mother's side, and he's going to do yibum to that brother, which is not allowed. For that brother, which is not allowed. Or he could make his mother. He could. Make it that his father died and his mother got remarried to a man who doesn't have children, and then he died. They might think that he's that guy's son, and they're going to say, the wife doesn't need yibum, he has a child. Really, he's a child of a different person. So all of these things could happen. That the mother requires yibum, but they're going to think that he's her son from this father, and we're going to think the guy has a son, and we're going to let her go without yibum, and really she requires yibum. Ve'iftoret yivimto l'shuk, or he's going to allow Yevamot l'shuk when really she's not supposed to.
What shuk means here?
It means to be able to marry someone else without chalitza. Yeah. Okay, so basically, Yevamot l'shuk means that she's allowed to marry whoever without doing gibum or chalitza. Let's just read couple more lines because we have to put on tefillin soon. So Mativ Rav Chananya bekulan ani koreh b'hen mishum takanat erva v'kan mishum takanat vlad. So Rav Chananya says, what are you talking about? Rava, you're telling me all of these things are erva related. But we have a braita that teaches that it's all because of the takana of the son. So according to the first opinion, the reason you need to separate is because we need to know who the father is. Okay, that's the takana of the son. Over here, it's takana for erva. We don't want someone to lead to arayot. If you're right that it's because we're worried about all these erva cases, they're all because of takanat erva. So the Gemara says, no. Hai mishum takanat vlad lo lifka b'hu erva. This is because of the takana of the son, so the child doesn't lead to erva. Okay. Bishlama. We have time to go further? No, the next thing is, we'll stop here. The next thing goes a little bit. Okay, so we'll stop here. Bezrat Hashem, tomorrow we'll try to do the next daf and a half to catch up.
I think the Fakhr is not even